bridging the gap in terms of these huge inequalities within the world itself, and particularly in South Africa now that we are also more divided than ever as a country. Does it have a role to play there?
I think it can. Right now it doesn't, because most people do not, and most decision makers do not really know about this. They hear about VR and AR. They think about computer games that their kids play. But projects like the District 6 project were born out of that idea that we want to show what it used to be like and why it was important, because that builds the setup and the interest among the younger generations. And then that is the learning aspect of it as well. It's like, and that is on top of that. We have to tell more African stories.
Yeah.
It's like African people are hesitant to, like a lot of them, like I would say the majority. I've been on panels where we talked about this topic. And it's like, people don't buy African games. They're not interested in Africa.
And what is the mystery around coding? Yeah. Maybe can you break it down?
It's like there's no mystery around it. Trust me, if I can learn it, Mr. Lars Espeter can learn it. Everybody can. We are not special. Yeah. Like, I'm not special, and the guys that teach you that are not special. We just sat down and tried to learn it. I would say it's easier than learning a language.
Welcome, Lars. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, guys. And happy 30th birthday. So it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lars. I mean, the first thing that I thought we should get to is just to let us know who you are, where you're from, why this fascination around, technology, games, VR, augmented reality. What is this drive? Where did you get it?
Where did I get it? I am one of the people that started playing games in the 80s. Yeah. So I'm a little bit older. And I've been in this industry since 1993. So it's like I had my 30th anniversary last year.
Yeah.
And
so you're 31 this year.
So, yeah, I wish it were 31. And the passion came when I discovered that you can create games and interactive media yourself. And technology has evolved over the past 30 years quite a bit. And around 2007, I got the offer in Germany because I'm originally from Germany, to develop a course for a German private school about game development, preparing kids to get into the career that I had built up for myself. Because the industry, the game industry and interactive media as a medium needs people that are skilled. And the scope right now is so big of these projects, or can be so big, that you need a lot of people working on these development projects. So, funny enough, at the same time, the Academy of Digital Art here in Cape Town, the Friends of Design Academy of Digital Arts, was founded. I met the founder and owner, which, funny enough, we did matric together. And so we met in our old hometown over Christmas, just by sheer luck. And he invited me to Cape Town to do a guest lecture for their graphic design and web design course back then. And 5 years later, I started the first game course on the African continent, the first accredited game course on the African continent here in Cape Town. And I've been here ever since. Yeah. So that is my background. That is how I started here. And the Academy is a private institution. We focus on teaching students in the fields of digital design, whether that is concept art, graphic design, the traditional graphic design that a lot of people do in advertising agencies or for logo design and things like that. We do web development focusing on UI UX, the user experience and user interface side of things, which is a big thing in all industries right now, because we are more and more digital. The content that you consume is on your laptop, on your phone, in the form of websites, and user interfaces are everywhere, like even on your ATM. If the ATM user interface doesn't work properly, you won't get your money and you have a frustrated client as a bank. So that is a very important thing. We teach that as one course. And then, of course, the game course that doesn't focus on you having to become a game developer. Yeah. That is a possibility, but with the skills and the knowledge that you gain and the portfolio, you can go into game development. We have students that do that internationally, or you can go into other industries that also use this medium, like museums, virtual reality, or advertising. I have students that work on archaeological projects. So there's a wide range of things that you can do with this. Yeah.
Very in-depth intro, a very in-depth intro.
Yeah, you have to stop me because I talk about this for 8 hours.
No, it's very important. So for me, my fascination also is with the language that's been used, the difference between virtual reality, augmented reality, what maybe explaining that to me so that, also, audience can get to know this concept.
No, you're absolutely right, Ayanda. There are a lot of terms floating around. Most people do not even understand what they mean and that they're different. So, and that there is also the term XR, which is a mix between virtual reality and augmented reality. So a computer game happens on your desktop screen or on your TV screen. It's flat. That is what happens. That is like you're watching a movie on your screen or you're playing a game on your screen. Virtual reality is a different approach. It uses the same technology and the same skill sets. But once you have this device on your head, we are replacing basically the world around you with a virtual world. You are inside. And you both have tried the VR app that we did for the District 6. Yes. You know how much different that experience is in contrast to just watching it on a screen. Augmented reality goes exactly the other way around. Most people know, I think, augmented reality from the Pokemon Go days back then, where you have your phone, you see the real world on your screen like you would see it through your normal camera. But what we do is we superimpose interactive 3D objects, 2D objects and stuff like that and add them to the world around you. That's why all of a sudden you can see a car in front of you that isn't there. And again, you have applications like you can show a new car model to a client that isn't there, but you can walk around it and it stays in place. In the property sector. Yeah.
They do that a lot.
Yeah, they do that a lot. And like big companies like IKEA do this now, where you have like, you go through the catalog and then you want to test whether the couch looks good in your apartment. You click on that model of the couch and then through your phone, you see the corner of the room where you want to put it, and the couch is standing there, and you can cycle through the colors and so on and so forth.
And Lars, like, what is easier to create? Those augmented reality easier versus VR?
They both come with really different challenges. Like the VR thing is different in terms of like a computer game has to run at a certain frame rate, we call it. So you have to have fluid motions, and that has to do with how many details you put into the game, how much characters you have at the same time, and so on and so forth. And of course, what your hardware can do, like your graphics card. With augmented reality, the environment is important. If it's too dark, it doesn't work out well. It's almost like setting up a stage. And you have to make sure that your software and the content that you create, the visual content, matches the environment and doesn't stand out and is not distracting. That the environment is very important. Like for instance, we could have like, I don't know, King Kong climbing up Table Mountain. I can do that. The problem is, we all know Cape Town. The weather changes 5 times a day. Exactly. So the lighting changes, and then all of a sudden the references are not there anymore, and the image doesn't hold up because the camera doesn't recognize the mountain anymore. So there are a couple of challenges. VR is more about, the technology being, and user interfaces, like, like walking around and using your hands, virtual hands and things like that. That is more of a challenge there. Like,
And interesting enough, we're also talking about, because part of center to our work, we're looking at history, we're looking at heritage.
Yeah.
We're also looking deeply on social justice, the injustices that are happening in the world.
Yeah.
Do you think the whole VR, augmented reality, do they have value in terms of bridging the gap in terms of these huge inequalities within the world itself, and particularly in South Africa now that we are also more divided than ever as a country?
Yeah.
Does it have a role to play there?
I think it can. Right now it doesn't, because most people do not, and most decision makers do not really know about this. They hear about VR and AR. They think about computer games that their kids play. But projects like the District 6 project were born out of that idea that we want to show what it used to be like and why it was important, because that builds the setup and the interest among the younger generations. I've seen that with our alumni students that worked on the District 6 project. That it connects you to your history. I think the worst mistake that people can make is to forget history.
Yep.
We see like when we are looking at the political situation in Europe and in the States right now, look at Gaza, look at Israel, look at all the topics right now. People tend to forget where they're coming from and what went wrong in the years past and like in former generations. I'm German. I know what I'm talking about, what can happen when you have the wrong people leading the club. So I think as a to spark interest in that topic and to raise awareness among young people, this is very important because it's their medium. And it's different when you walk through an historic site, even though it's digital and it might not be 100% authentic. Like we had we will talk about the development process later, but it still connects
awareness
you.
Awareness.
And what I find very amazing is virtual reality can put you into somebody else's shoes, literally. You could play as someone from a different culture. I can put you into the shoes of an Inuit in Alaska and show you what they are living like, to a degree, of course. It will never be realistic. It's we cannot make it as cold in that room. But it changes your perspective. And that is, to me, what game development has always been about. So I'm coming full circle here. And with augmented reality, same thing. It's like, imagine you walk through a museum and you have an app on your phone that gives you additional information. Like what I could do is like you direct your phone's camera to a photo of 7 steps. And because it recognized that image, it would start playing an audio file with an interview from a certain person. And I know how many interviews you have in the archives. So that would be something that can really, really help. But in many, many more ways, there are so many options with that technology. And of course, for South Africa and the South African youth especially, it was like we literally had Youth Day exactly a month ago. To me, it is also about the opportunity that students and young South Africans have when they learn this stuff. Like there is an entire industry waiting for South Africa to build. We have a lot of developers in this field already, but nothing compared to bigger countries. And all you need is the knowledge that we teach you and a laptop.
I think, Lars, that would be my question. Is like, we always talk about it in our department, like this notion of the user versus the producer. And what do you think would be the step then to get South Africans away from being users and then more towards producers in that way?
Being more aware that this is a career path. A lot of people don't know that. Like, trust me, when I told my parents in '93, I'm becoming a game designer, that term, they never heard of that. So
it's like 20 years, 30 years ago, you wanted to be a dancer.
They still don't understand what I'm doing, Ayanda. It's like, that's fine. But it's like for a lot of people, this is like kind of magic that you're doing there. Okay. And we are not always coding. Like it's like you will see this later. I will talk about this later, but it's like the understanding is important that this is a career that needs a certain knowledge and set of skills and a portfolio to start your career. And exactly, like it's like that on top of raising awareness about certain topics and is also like people realizing I don't have to become what my parents were in terms of job.
It's a big one.
Because that is like in Europe, everywhere around the world, parents care about their children's future.
Sure.
And they try to make decisions, informed decisions. So they base their decisions on what they know. And I cannot expect parents to go and like learn about my industry because we are notoriously bad about talking our stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Like we always like work in some basement or something like that.
That's the image at least.
No, but it's like in terms of talking to the public and convincing people that what we do, if you realize the fact that since 2008, the games industry worldwide has generated more revenue annually, more revenue than the music and movie industry together.
Yo.
Like since 2008, and the gap is widening.
Yo.
Even with Netflix and all. And Netflix now has their own gaming service.
Makes sense.
You can play games on Netflix, stream games.
Yeah,
so it's a massive, and it's not just games, as I said. It's like I have alumni students that by now work in Edinburgh for insurance companies, creating educational games to keep the clients safe at home, and many other things. The medical field uses virtual reality, and the people that develop that are the guys that also have the skills with the same skill set. They could be in the games industry if they wanted to.
And I think my follow-up question will be then in terms of access, and probably Africa and South Africa particularly, in terms of access to technology and how can we bridge that gap? We're talking about the rural areas of South Africa that are very remote and they don't have access to. The fiber is not there. How can we expedite that process so that it becomes really like a flat process where everyone can access, so that it does not. I think nowadays it's seen as being for a certain selected few. So how do we change that narrative?
We can go mobile. That is definitely an option. Mobile games are definitely an option. They are limited. But what I would say is like things like having the virtual reality headset here at the museum as a part of the exhibit permanently and exposing people to this is one step in the right direction. Okay. We're trying, like with our student projects and so on, we are trying to do that more and more. But it needs investment. It definitely needs investment. On the other side, the other way of thinking that is wrong is a lot of South African developers or people that think about investing in this. It's like, the South African market is not big enough. We're living in an international world. Like if we publish our game on Steam, it's available to the entire planet on a mouse on the click of a button. So you sell it everywhere.
I mean, I was telling you, Lars, like one of my favorite games is Euro Truck Simulator. Like, I know all of Europe, and I'm in Africa.
Exactly. And then that is the learning aspect of it as well. It's like, and that is on top of that. We have to tell more African stories. It's like people are hesitant. African people are hesitant to like a lot of them, like I would say the majority. I've been on panels where we talked about this topic. And it's like, people don't buy African games. They're not interested in Africa. I think. I don't know, but Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, The Woman King, Shaka, The Lion King.
Keep going, exactly.
They were all major successes. People are not interested in Africa.
Yeah.
Yes, of course they are, because it is a different kind of background.
Sure.
And African stories are in a lot of ways different to European stories, which by now repeat themselves over and over and over again. People are hungry for new stories.
Yeah.
And we stay under the radar.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of points to this. And for me, it's like bridging the gap it needs investment. We have to make sure that schools, especially public schools,
Sure.
have the technologies. Botswana has made coding a compulsory part for all school children.
Yo,
Exactly.
they're going ahead.
Yo.
We have to. Like the new skills are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that needs computers and not expensive ones. It needs bandwidth, which can be solved. There are multiple options of solving that.
Yeah.
We need to build that infrastructure. Once you have those skills and you have a laptop, after you matriculate and after you have your tertiary education, it's like, it's a no-brainer. You can develop an app. Like I published an app while I was waiting for my transit flight in Dubai. So there are no excuses for people to not publish and not go out there.
And go for it.
And I mean, like consistently, like someone was telling me that, because there's a nice academy, it's called the Life Choices Academy, it's a coding academy. And they always say that every year, the one job that never gets filled is development, development posts, like in IT or in web development, in game development, or in kind of infrastructure development. It's like, so that tells you something, that if that's a post that sits open every single year, that means that there's an opportunity there.
But there's also this, and I hear this on our open days from parents and from students, because in the game course, you have to learn the basics of coding.
Okay.
And about half of the students and the parents turn white as a sheet of paper when they hear, I have to learn coding.
Yeah.
Because they have all the wrong idea about what that means.
And what is the mystery around coding?
Yeah.
Maybe can you break it down
It's like,
for us?
there's no mystery around it. Trust me, if I can learn it, Mr. Lars Espeter can learn it, everybody can. We are not special.
Yeah.
Like I'm not special, and the guys that teach you that are not special. We just sat down and tried to learn it. It's like, I would say it's easier than learning a language. There is, like a lot of teachers tell you in school, oh, you have to be good at math if you want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big one.
That most often comes from your actual math teacher. They try to lure you in so you're doing better. But it's actually not that much math.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I mean, be good at math. It makes your life easier. But most of the stuff that we do there, you're sitting in front of a computer. Computers are really good at math. Like they can help you with that. Okay.
Exactly.
So there is no mystery about coding. As much as there is not a lot of mystery about the technology that you use or the graphics that we need to create or animating these graphics, that all are skills that can be learned. And my students show this every year. Like we have a 1-year course. These 1 year South African students have outrun my 3-year German students that I had by like easily. Like they would run circles around these guys. And they're internationally successful. So that tells you something.
Just one quick point exactly. Just
go for it.
Before we go to the next session, I know you want to
Go for it.
I think it's just important what Lars is saying. Is like, for me, that's so important because people don't, I think when we were having a conversation at ADA, you said that if you take the equivalent of a South African developer or someone getting into the industry in the first year versus someone in development in the first year in Germany, the amount that they have to pay is much more for the German programmer versus the South African program. What people don't understand is, though, as a programmer, maybe in South Africa, in your first year, your first salary check is going to be like 30 grand.
Yo.
That's massive for South Africa. And I mean, obviously that comes with its own...
It takes you a bit out of poverty, a poverty line.
Absolutely.
People don't know this. Like Lars is saying, like, but people are so afraid. They think like, oh, my child must become a doctor, or my child must become a lawyer, my child must become a teacher. But there's 30 grand, like, at your first starting salary, which means it's only up from there.
Yeah.
And I think
and
we
it's
don't know
international,
this.
as you said, Matthew. It's like, that is what we had, and this is the other thing. We have had students that studied this field before in Europe and in the United States. Our American students from last year studied and paid. Her tuition fee was $100,000.
Yo.
That's how much? 20 million rand?
Yo.
That's insane. Jeez, man.
And she studied with us after that. And her mom was like, the life we could have lived for the money we spent on tuition here in South Africa. It's absolute. And her mom is originally from Rwanda. Wow. So she is an African kid. She just was born and grew up in New Jersey. So, but as you said, Ayanda, it's like knowledge is your way out of poverty. Or into, like, if you don't grow up in poverty, it can be the way into a more enjoyable future than, like, we all had parents that complained about their jobs. And trust me, I complained about mine quite a bit. And it's like being a freelancer for all my life. It's not easy, but the opportunities that you have today as a young South African or a young person in general are tremendous. Like, this could take you into the movie industry if you want to. A lot of the stuff that they use for CGI effects now and the like live stages that change their backgrounds, that is exactly what we use for our level design in computer games. So the opportunities are massive.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was, with the same exactly the impediments that our teachers bring into ourselves. I remember in school, this teacher who was not even savvy to music, he knew nothing about music. So we'll go into to speak one group, we'll be given a song to sing. He will just eardrop next to my mouth, his ear, and he will chase me away, smack me. You can't sing. He's not been trained, he knows nothing about music. So I'm saying these are all the things that we need to break away from so that we can look at the opportunity and prospects that this brings into our country and into Africa, into the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, and for me, as a European, I think, and for me, it's more important to have it the other way around as well. Like, not bring opportunity into the country, but also export
the games
and the cultural background, no matter what it looks like. It's like we worked on this game, Amanzi, we'll talk about in a bit, and we made it have a distinct African influence when it comes to the visuals, the people, the story. Yeah. But like for us, it's like, especially for me, it's like, it's not my place to tell a story about a specific African culture.
I'm not sure if Matthew wants to. I think Matthew will have a different view to that. What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, you can.
It's like,
I think Matthew.
I will not tell a story about African history. That is for somebody else to do. So, but we put it into a sci-fi world because we also have to talk about. We're always talking about how great Africa was. Let's talk about how great Africa can be.
Yeah.
And show examples in stories and movies and games.
No. Why I'm saying that, Matthew, because these are the conversations that we usually have. If you're bringing value, you're adding value into the story, why not tell the story? Yeah. You know, because if we're not here to tell it, if you do have means and resources and you want to see change in our country, I think you're legitimate to do it and tell the story. Exactly. I don't think you need to get permission. And
no, it's not about permission. It's about accuracy and so on. Like when we were, there are still some aspects when you look at the VR app on Richmond Street that are off. They're off because we didn't have enough material in the archives to literally go all the way. But it's like what, for instance, we wanted to have the game that we'll talk about. We wanted to have the actual voiceover to be an African language. So which African language or dialect do you pick?
Yeah, there's many.
There are so many.
Really
It's
many.
like
And there's
you don't create a game about European people and decide, oh, everybody now speaks French in Europe. Okay.
And they speak Bavarian.
It's like then all of a sudden you have the second Brexit. It's like the British would not be happy about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
We are speaking their language in some ways. They still got us.
I think let's get into the District 6 Museum VR experience.
Absolutely.
Maybe let's talk to that. What made you to come and join, want to be part of telling this story and create this VR app for the District 6 Museum? What drove you? And Dean was telling us that there's history to it that me and Matthew were not savvy to when we were, engaging and rehearsing. So he gave this long, a bit of background. Maybe coming from you, it will also bring that bit of authenticity around it.
There's in fact a long story to it.
Yeah.
Never tell Dean your secrets. No, it's actually it was quite amazing. We were here with our students at the Playtopia, the Games Fest Playtopia, which happens in every December. People should go there. You're missing out if you're not going. If you want to see South African game developers and young South African talent, go to Playtopia. It will happen at the Homecoming Center again this year, right? So please make sure, Google Playtopia. And we were here showing work from our students as part of a booth. And then Dean popped up at our booth and talked about virtual reality and that he had thought about using virtual reality or game technology for a museum approach. And we had done similar things before. We have done an AR installation in 2018 for the Iziko Slave Lodge here in town.
Okay. Yeah.
Also a student project. And a couple of other things, smaller projects. So what he didn't know at the point when you asked me was that I had been trying to do something similar. Literally what I talked about earlier, the AR for the images playing interviews. That was an idea that I had in 2015 when I was here for the first time at the museum. And I knew that there was a lot of audio archive material and so on and so forth. But because of sometimes you're not there at the right moment. So it kind of petered out. And I always kept it in the back of my head. And all of a sudden Dean rocks up and goes like, oh, do we want to do this? And I'm like, yes. So, and that is when we realized, okay, virtual reality might be a good thing. Bring people back in a sort of accurate rendition of important parts of District 6. Then we had all of a sudden the opportunity to have two actual residents and their voices in the app. So we had the idea to approach it almost like an interactive documentary. Yeah. So you feel familiar with the place. You walk through it, through Richmond Street, for instance. But you can also talk to people and hear their actual voices.
Maybe, do you think it's the right time that we show it now?
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
We can show it.
Cool. Let me do that.
Starting with your Chinese now.
I'm sorry. No, the Chinese will come after this one. The Chinese will come after this one. So, what you see here is what happens in the app. We cannot, obviously, because it's shown only to the user, we cannot really show you the actual app. But this is what you see when you're in there. So we have Nomvuyo's apartment here, which is an actual place in the museum. The students replicated that. And we made it interactive. And that is her sitting over there. And you listened to her talking and telling her story. And she was very happy with her rendition, by the way.
Yes, she was. I remember.
She was like, "Oh, you make me look so young."
Yeah.
She was very flattered. I love it. She's a lovely lady. And you can interact with this and really look at the elements here that are actually in the museum.
Yeah.
So you get a better sense of what this actually looked like. But this is only the start. And after this, we take you out to Richmond Street. And it's basically up to you. So there's the door. And then, do you want to leave to Richmond Street? Yes. Yeah. And that's what you see then. And one of the stories that, like I mentioned earlier, our students are very, they had a big impact. So this is Richmond Street the way it used to be, to a degree. Like it will never be 100% correct because of what the regime did back then. There's not a lot left that we can research. Like we had a couple of aerial photographs from the 1950s. We had some photos from the 60s and even earlier than the 50s. So we had to kind of guess what it looked like at a certain time and space. I think those are mainly Russian cars there. There's, again, like we didn't have any photos of any models. So
anything close.
Yeah, but it gives you a good idea of what the place looked like.
But District 6 was close to Europe during that time, isn't it, Matthew? Am I right?
In terms of the cars?
In terms of the image itself, like
the
Victorian feel.
But you would have, with the Victorian feel, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the heyday of the 6 It's architecture.
Yeah. And so you can even see the mountain, which is, we had, like when we tested it, the former residents that tested it.
Yeah.
The first thing they did when they stepped out of Richmond, they were looking at the mountain.
Yeah.
Like immediately. And what had a big impact on us was, the playground. That it's not a real playground, but we wanted to show a couple of that was actually a part of also. Yeah. But what had a big impact, one of the residents, and we didn't know that was there for the testing. When we tested it with the to see how they would cope with it and if they found it accurate. She had lived as a child on Richmond Street. And speaking of impact, she was in the app and did what I just showed you. She stepped out into Richmond Street, and after about 30 seconds, you could see tears coming from underneath the headset, because she remembered it. Like she after that told us, like, there was so many childhood memories that came back, and she was like, "No, it's not 100% accurate or how I remember it." And she gave us a couple of indicators of what could change, but it got like triggered a lot of memories, and that was a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah. I think it's almost like a weird brain hack that VR does. It can like switch something in your brain.
Yeah. It really has some impact. I mean, you told me that when you tried it the first time, you take the headset off, and all of a sudden you realize you're in a completely different space. You forget it when you're in there.
Yeah.
And let me just show you a little bit of a different. That's 7 steps. Yeah, and obviously. We have 7 steps in there. And this is Noor's place. This is Noor's place. And so we were allowed by Noor's family to use his likeness and recreate it. And his interview, like he is telling you about his kitchen crew and everything. That was a big honor and like very emotional for my students as well. When on the launch when he had the launch day here at the museum, on this stage actually. His family was there, and he had just passed on the year earlier. So his widow was here and everything, and she was very, very happy and insisted that my students know that she really is happy with what they had done. And it's a weird thing if you think about it. She saw him. The likeness is very close. According to her and her daughter.
We can vouch to that. That's very, very close.
Yeah, you worked with him, and. It's his voice. So that is why we were a little bit apprehensive at first.
Yeah.
It's like, what happens if you see your husband up there?
Yeah. What does it bring back?
It's like,
Yeah.
there are a lot of implications
Yeah.
there about
Yeah.
grief and whatnot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's like the response we had was great, and people got interested. People started talking about District 6 and their time at District 6, and I think that is the impact that we need. Talk about it. Like, don't forget where you come from. Yeah. Don't forget what went wrong, and let's make sure that it cannot happen again in whatever form it might occur.
And Lars, with regards to the objects that you're picking up, like in terms of the scale, how did you work out the scale in terms of like
we measured?
Wow.
Like we got access. Our students got access to the museum, and we could measure everything and recreate it proportionally correct.
Do you remember what the scale ratio is? Like it's 1:2. Do you?
No, it's 1:1.
Oh, 1:1.
Yeah, we built it 1:1.
That's
a
insane.
meter in the wall is a meter. And, yeah.
No ways.
The room, funny enough, the apartment looks a little bit more empty than it actually is. But that might have to do with the camera perspective that you see the world in. It's different than you actualize. Yeah, but the rest is actually accurate. We had the most problems with the spacing of the houses on Richmond because there were no actual maps.
Yeah.
So we had we found one of my students found in one photo a car parked in front of a house, and funny enough, there was another photo from years later from a different perspective with a similar car. And that gave us the indicator of, okay, this is how wide the street is. This is how wide the house is. And then we extrapolated it from there, together with some of the aerial maps that were very blurry. Because it was like aerial photography in the 1950s was like more like a, let's try my luck kind of approach.
Yeah. And in terms of moving forward in the future of the app itself, where do you see it, heading itself to in terms of
this app is what we call phase 1.
Okay.
So we have talked about phase 2. Phase 2 would be a bigger project because what we would like to do is to simulate a Saturday of someone that worked here at Sachs, where the homecoming center is.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And you start here your Saturday afternoon. You go to the fish market, or you go to a typical shop. You go to a photographer, the very famous photographer of Observatory, District 6, Van Kalk, or to a hairdresser. And then later on in the evening, you go to a dance hall.
Yeah, or to a bioscope.
Exactly. So, and maybe if we get there in phase 2, you also have a short trip somewhere on the mountain.
Lars, I kind of have a challenge for you for phase 2. Imagine you had to make it almost like, I guess we're kind of leading in towards Amanzi actually. But I was thinking imagine the 6 in that way. It's almost like, imagine it was 1960 and things are starting to change and your role is basically to sabotage the bulldozers. What do you think of that in that way?
You want to create you want to create GTA District 6.
Exactly, I do.
Right, okay.
What is that? You're starting.
GTA is this game, crime game.
Yeah, please,
you can
bear with me. You need to explain some of these things to me, otherwise I would be lost.
It's it's like we want to make it a lot more interactive. So you can actually play an instrument. So you can either dance. You finally get your dancing thing. You've been asking about it so often. Or you can play as a part of the band and you play an instrument. And things like that. Like little things where you are more interactive, interacting with the world. For us, that would be very important to make it more appealing. Like this is more like the phase 1 was more like showing what it used to be like, and connect the museum and the museum's exhibit with the interactive world and the world that they actually were part of. And then this phase 2 should be more like an experience, a simulated day in the world of, and that is the difference between games and using game technology in this way. This looks like a game. it's not a game because you cannot lose a level.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
you don't cross Richmond Street in the wrong way and you get
Yeah.
run over by a car or something. So that would be a game that has a challenge and things like that.
And I think for me, because we've been talking about this idea of bringing, other people into the space itself.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the notion of museum, people think museums, it's merely for older people and I think it changes the game altogether, the VR thing. Where I remember when we had those young people, they were like so fascinated about it. And I think we'll also be accessing them to the stories, into the history itself, because in a very good way, because we've been saying, why are young people not interested in our history? Yeah. And I think this is the way for them to learn.
Because we present it the wrong way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, this is different than looking at an old photograph.
Yeah.
It's a different time. It needs a different medium.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've done, like my team and I, back in Germany, and we created a game about math for 5 to 8 year olds.
Wow.
Like the kids that cannot read, but they're able to use this kind of technology to play a game and to learn math in a fun way. We fought against German teachers that said this will never work.
I can imagine, exactly.
10 minutes into the kids playing this game, they had forgotten that they were doing math and they were interested in solving the problems.
That's the key.
That's how you spark interest. And when you spark the interest of a child or a young adult, they do the rest themselves. They dig in deeper.
And for me, it comes back to what we were talking about in terms of looking at our current challenges of inequalities. Imagine if we were looking at, in a sense of how do we change the pit toilets in schools? How do we look at bucket system changing? And for me, the fourth industrial revolution, I always say if it's going to do that, I'm in for it, because we also need to bring about change. And the way you're putting it nicely.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, how can you expect a person to put effort in if they don't know where it could take them?
Yeah.
That is, to me, like, I've seen this in former Eastern Germany, like in the rural areas there. Yeah. You have a lot of perspectiveless people. You know what? That is why we have a major problem with far right-wing, neo-Nazi kind of people all of a sudden. Yeah. Because we left them alone. We never told them this is where you can go.
Yo.
So we have a gang problem. We have all kinds of problems here. Yeah. And funny enough, like when that is one thing, like a lot of people don't know, and especially like non-Europeans and people that didn't grow up in Cape Town. The problem that we have with gangs and segregation that we still have, let's face it, because of the Cape Flats and people getting segregated that used to live together peacefully and harmonically for the most part in District 6, that got us into the situation that we have today. That decision in the late 60s to send everybody away, to declare the District 6 whites only, has caused the situation, including the gangs that we have now, and people having to travel 2 hours to get to work in town.
We often talk about that, and I think it's like, we're trying to think of it like in a holistic way, because I think it's like you have to think of it like, because South Africa, I was saying, like South Africa did have a housing crisis during that time, and forced removals and the community development often swallowed, like put the like, you know, when you like wrap the truth in a lie kind of thing. Yeah. So the truth was that there was a housing crisis.
Yeah,
they needed to create this thing. People were living on quite on top of each other, but the problem is like they created these houses, but it was convenient. It was convenient in one part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
So like imagine, like I was saying to Dean, like if Dean and I were in District 6 and we were neighbors, and we were good neighbors and we took care of each other. We were dedicated to a goal with in our street, for example. Yeah. Now we get completely separated. I go to Langa, Dean goes to Pontyville.
And the next generation is more separated, and the next one after that is even more separated. Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden you have envy and hate start.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because people are not living together anymore.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe take us to the Amanzi game. Tell us the concept. Tell us about the concept, because I think it's a very interesting concept, and I think you are the one who came up with the concept.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah. And like again, like the whole for me, it's always like games have always been about perspective, change of perspective.
Oh,
Like let other people's,
Yeah.
like I can put you in the shoes of somebody else.
yeah.
So, with District 6, we did that. We put you in a different time.
Yeah.
But here with Amanzi, what we did was we created an actual game. So a big part of our guys here, a big part of the guys that built District 6 is now part of the Amanzi project.
Oh, it's continuity.
So, yeah. Let me show you what it looks like while I talk about it.
That will help us.
Cool. All right, Amanzi. So, as I said earlier, I want to show people that games that are based on aspects of the African culture with an African background can work and create interest. So all of our characters in the game are Black Africans, except for the narrator. He's an albino. And the character that is not involved in the story, but it's like kind of the person that leads you through the game. So this is a game that is story driven. It looks like a modern first person game because it is. And it was developed by our 2023 alumni students in a year. We have published it already. By the way, the guy's not dying. You cannot kill people in our game.
Thank you. You have too much violence.
No, they're your fellow citizens. So the story about the game is, this is a futuristic Africa inspired. It's not Africa. This could be on a different planet. Like we approached it like, let's tell a science fiction story like almost like Star Wars or Star Trek, but let's tell it as if it was invented in Africa. Why not? So what we have done is create this story and this environment around a world or a city state that has an abundance of water. The part at the top, the higher you get up to the mountain and the glacier, the city used to be rich and thriving. But over the years, the situation changed and water stayed more at the top. And like there were excuses made that why the lower part now has far less water, almost none. So you have this social divide. And the idea came from the fact that water always balances itself, like the communicating tubes. And water is always balanced by nature. If you want to have more on one side, you have to exert pressure on the other. So that cannot happen. This imbalance cannot happen naturally. There has to be some action behind it to make it work. So, and it's like almost like a detective story. So you are a character at the top that lives in the more well-off, water-abundant part of the city. And you're a maintenance guy. You have certain skills. You're a tech guy. And you're there to make sure that everything works well. And like almost like a detective game, what happens is you discover there is something off with that story. And it's not that there are bad, oppressive people, but they're in a situation where they might lose their influence and power. And the citizens of Amafu, the top part, which is above the clouds, they are pretty much unaware of the situation of the people below. They believe they are not capable of keeping their stuff working. That's why they don't have water. Sounds familiar? And we are not in your face with that story. You discover it yourself. I think the best way of starting to think about your real world is to speak through metaphors and allegories. And that is what a game can do. So this is like everything you see was done by South African alumni students. Nothing in there has been created using artificial generative AI or anything else. Like everything that you see there is built on the skills that our South African students have. It's now the demo version is publicly available, And we are releasing very, very soon another version of our demo, because the goal is to have that out there in its best running form ever. And go to publishers and get funding to develop the entire game over the next year with fully funded former students that then will be employed in that for that project to build a development team. And that development team then can build more games and create revenue by selling these games on the international market.
Yeah, the idea of the ripple effect.
Exactly.
The trickling down effect. And
that is much easier for these guys now and for us, because they have shown that they can do it. If I take this to a publisher, they immediately know, okay, these guys can actually do what they promise us to do.
Lars, I think I got a couple of questions for you on Amanzi, but I think the one part was you said that it was only like kind of like how you say like Black African characters. But I almost want to challenge you a little bit on that, because I mean, if you look at, if I walk outside now into Cape Town, I get a mix of people.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's not about South Africa.
But it is though, and I think
this situation you have in a lot of different countries as well.
That's true. But I think because the second part of my thing is like more of the content. It's like it feels like it's a character that is unplugging from the system. So he's like he's being faced with how the system has always been and kind of continuing on a particular path until one event triggers a set of events. It's like, oh, there's a Mafu and there's all the people down there. And what I've seen these people in this particular way now, I've changed the way I've seen. I've unplugged from the Mafu kind of Kool-Aid. And I think it's like, is that an accurate way of thinking about the game? So I'm trying to say, I guess the question is twofold.
No, it is. As I said earlier, it's about perspective change. This could be a fantasy game. It would work the same way. We just made the decision to place it into a world that looks a lot like Africa. It is not Africa.
Okay, I understand.
So
okay, I understand.
It's like when I talk about Star Wars, it's like Star Wars looks the way it does because it was created by an American in the 70s, including the stupid haircuts.
So great haircuts.
By now again, it's like they're coming back now. It's like I'm safe. But that was the idea. So it's more about showing people something they haven't seen before in this form, putting you into a different, into a different character, into a different experience.
Sure.
And also, to me, it was very, very important when we developed the game, which is why you cannot kill people. You get killed. You can get killed
as a character.
As a character, but these are your fellow citizens, no matter if they live in Amafu and are well off, or if they're living in the almost abandoned, like very dry part of the city that is dry now, called Utuli. And you have the garden and the plant and crop gardens in the middle that provide the food, which is again like water balance. You have the abundance at the top, you have the lack at the bottom, and where it's in the middle of the city, that is where everything is correct. There's everything that is growth, green, not abundant, like not wasting water to make things look
pretty. Like an equilibrium kind of a moment.
Exactly, and that is the balance state of this entire world. So, and that's why we called it Ubomi. So, there are a lot of references to that. Like we approached it in a very direct, metaphorical way. Like from the setup to even a lot of the game aspects are about balance. Like what decides whether a guard that thinks you're in the wrong area and you're a saboteur, or the extremists at the bottom that try to start a civil war out of desperation and power hunger. If they aim at you, you can counteract their aiming by changing your running direction, or ducking, or running through steam. So you balance the situation in your favor. So a lot of these aspects in the game are based on the concept of balance. This is a typical game. And for me, it was important just to prove a point that this kind of game and this quality can be made properly in Africa. And there are a lot of other games, like similar games of similar quality out there. We just don't know they're from South Africa.
Yes. And is this a VR game?
No. Funny enough, because my students are crazy, my alumni guys. I shouldn't call them my students anymore. They're full-on game developers by now. Yeah. They have actually, we have optimized this so much, it runs on an Xbox. So an Xbox version of this game would be possible. And of course, they have tried to put it in VR because they can.
Yeah, because exactly.
So this in VR would be very interesting and very challenging to pull off. But yeah, it could be. It could be turned into a VR app at some point. But that is the business side of things. Yeah. This wouldn't happen. Like, these guys have been working on this for a year.
I was going to ask exactly.
14 guys.
That's amazing.
Working day in and day out, creating all the graphics, all the code, all the sounds. We have been working with, which is another great thing, for the sound and voiceovers. We wanted to have proper African voices and not some AI generated stuff. There is, in the demo, there is one AI generated voice in there because we couldn't pull it off with the time that we had given. But we are working with a tremendously great sound studio here called Pressure Cooker in Cape Town. Amazingly talented people, great teamwork. We have a really great working relationship by now. So this is a fully through and through South African game. And we have gotten a lot of great reviews already. And I can't wait to have the next version up to talk to publishers and see where we can take it.
Thank you very much, Lars. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also thank you, Matthew, for your excitement. And you kind of helped me in some of the technical jargon there. So I got my way out. And I think it is quite, I mean, we also earlier spoke about the future, the potential of it. And we started with it. And I could see where it's heading in terms of really bridging the gap in terms of, how do we take people out of poverty, which is the big issue within our country.